How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
Well,
It's good to have you here.
yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So, because of those people who may not know, and
Okay.
because it's a podcast, it might be audio only. I don't know. There might be video. So, for the sake of those who may not know, can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Tosin Junaid. I am a visual artist.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's no need to try and be modest. No, we all know how extraordinary you are, and we really do appreciate the gift that you put out consistently, and we appreciate your amazing, incredible work. How
Thank
would you
you.
describe your work?
It's just an expression of myself and how I see things. How I see life, how I see light, like you said earlier. So it's just me expressing myself. That's really what my work is about, and it's evolving and it's changing. So it's never really about one thing. It could be about one thing for a particular period of time, but as I grow older, I have new perspectives. I travel to places, I meet new people, and it evolves and it changes. So my work, if you look at it from the last 2, 3 years, 4 years, you see that there is a shift and a change in how I'm expressing myself.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's important for everybody that is an artist to constantly be true to themselves. So not to box themselves in and say, oh, this is how I create, and then decide to just stick to that. You can shift and you can change.
So, looking at the different phases of your life and your creative journey, what what has really become that thing that you are incredibly passionate about creating? That what would you say it is?
I mean, I love images, right? It shows that I'm a visual artist, I'm a creative because an image is so powerful. It can tell, it's just something that is one thing that can tell 1,000 stories, right? So I'm obsessed with how to convey stories with images, how to sit somewhere in my little corner of the world and create something at the back of my camera that then goes to all over the world, and different people would look at it and say, this resonates with me in this way, shape, or form. One that person would say, this resonates with me in a different way. I mean, that's really incredible to me. So for me, I'm really obsessed about the fact of the power of what an image can be. And anybody that knows me knows I'm kind of a very technical photographer or visual artist. So I'm obsessed with different ways to, you know, convey a strong image, you know, and whatever the topic might be, at the end of the day, you still have to use the tools to tell the story properly. So it could be any story really, but for me, I'm obsessed with telling it well, telling it powerfully.
Turning
I
powerfully.
want people to be able to stop and say,
Stop and
"Wow,
say,
what's
wow.
going on here?"
Okay.
Because if you're telling a story, your image, and your image is not captivating enough, it's easy for people to bypass it, especially because of the amount of images that people see on a daily. I think I would like to do research into that. And so, how many images we see daily? Like, you pick up your phone in the morning and you're just scrolling through images.
Yeah.
So, what makes you stop to say, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What story is this person trying to tell? Your image has to be captivating.
I want to pick up on something you talked about being a very technical artist. So, what would you say, looking at the evolution of technology now, what would you say is the role of the this evolution of technology and has it impacted on your personal work?
I mean, so technology from the very start is supposed to make things easier, right? Because some things are hard to do. So they take time. So technology for me is a tool. It's just to make your life easier, but it doesn't really affect the outcome. It affects the outcome at the end of the day, but ultimately what it is a tool. So for example, we'd see that when we moved from analog cameras to digital cameras, it made life easier because with analog cameras it would take days film processing and all that, and we moved to analog cameras, and then we moved to digital cameras, and then we moved to mirrorless cameras now, and it is AI all over the place now. It's I feel like it's something that we have to embrace because if you're not careful, you will be left behind. I'm sure if you ask some people, and I understand the people that have the sentiment towards the old things. So imagine it took me so long to master how to do something in Photoshop, and then one AI can do it in like 30 seconds and it's done. But trust me, you're not doing yourself any good if you decide to stick to that old way and just be stubborn and say that the people that are doing it with AI are not true artists. They are true artists because at the end of the day, art is about delivering a message. So whatever medium you can use to get your story across, as long as it is done properly and it's done well, that is where the that's where the work is.
From the way you are speaking about embracing technology, it seems like you have a very open mind towards the evolving of technology and even going as far as embracing AI.
Yeah.
So, have you I- is has how has AI impacted your work? Is it in your workflow at all? Have you incorporated it in your workflow in any way?
Yeah, in so many ways. Since it first came out, I was like, okay, what's this? I'm interested. Definitely. So there are two major ways that I currently use AI in my work. One is to create kind of like an idea or mood board. So as a visual artist, one of the biggest problems I have is that sometimes when I conceptualize an image in my head, it's just in my head, and it's really hard for me to convey that to a client or to the people I'm working with, the team. So I did a photo shoot recently where I just basically tried my best to describe what I wanted to create to Mid Journey, which is a generative AI, and then it created the image. So immediately I showed it to my team. They're like, "Oh, okay, we get what you want to do now," and it was so easy for us to then recreate the image. Even though we created an image that was very similar to what we created with AI, but that's just one of the uses, one of the use cases. And secondly, it's still with generative field and just fastens up your work time. For example, expanding backdrops or adding props or adding things to your photos, in generative expand, generative fill in Photoshop. It's something that now I don't understand how I was doing it without it. I'm so used to it now. It's scary, really. So I'm always preaching. Are you using generative fill? Have you tried it out? If you're a wedding photographer, for example, and there is just one annoying Uncle Bob drop in one shot, like you can just take him
One
out
click and
in
it's out.
30 seconds and it's gone. So that's interesting, and that helps to make your life a lot easier.
AI is making things easier, as it seems. How do you think that will impact on people who are just coming into this space?
Um, it will make them not know some things because that's just the fact. Because I was teaching somebody recently because I teach a lot, and this person, brand new photographer, they're just learning, and so many tools that normally I was using when I started learning maybe 10 years ago. Those tools are out of date. I couldn't start explaining all these tools because they could do them with AI so quickly. So I don't think that we should be afraid of it.
Okay.
Um, it would.
So
It,
what's the balance? What would be a balance approach? What would you tell someone just coming into the field?
uh,
What would be a balanced
what
approach?
would be a balance? If I'm just being honest, honest is that you have to embrace it. Let me just give you a practical example. For example, is that we used to use this method called frequency separation to edit photos. And when we started using it, you would do it manually yourself. And then later there was an action that could help you set it up, right? And it got to the point where most people did not know how to do it manually again. To set it up, they needed the action. But the fact of the matter is the action is always there, it's always available. So the sentiment before was like, oh, what if you're somewhere and the action is not available? What will you do? You'll be stuck. Where are you that the action is not available? Do you understand? Where
Yeah.
are you exactly? I mean, it's nice to have some things, or it's like saying another perfect example that is outside of photography is, can you drive a stick? Now I can, and I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. I learned how to drive it. But when last did I see a car that was stick? Do you understand? So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that you have to embrace these things
Yeah.
because if
The
you
evolve.
don't,
The
you have
evolution.
to evolve. If you don't
Yeah.
evolve, you will die. That's just the fact of the
Evolve
matter.
or die.
It's evolve or die. So it has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. I just seen the beginning of it. Trust me. My projections is that it's going to become a lot better.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people with, in quotes, less skill will be able to do certain things that you with a lot of skill couldn't even do before. So why not just try and make sure that you are on the front foot and know how this thing
Yeah.
works from the start. For example, Mid Journey, when it first came out, it was a bit technical learning the syntax rather. That's how to talk to it,
Yeah.
knowing how to say certain things.
Yeah.
And last time I was on Mid Journey yesterday, they've dumbed it. I don't want to use the word dumbed down, but they brought it down a lot. Before with Mid Journey, it was almost like you were coding. Now you don't even need to put any syntax. Just type what you want, and then it brings it out. And then all the little syntax, all the little keywords that you need to put to get a certain ratio or to get a certain image out of it. Everything is just listed out as options, so you don't even need to learn that again. So I'm like, what are we doing? Please,
Yeah.
let's embrace AI. AI is the future.
I don't know how this discussion quickly became about AI. But anyways, it's
It's part of
something.
it.
It's part of it. It's something we have to embrace. So, in terms of gear, cameras that you're working with, what are you working with now?
I've seen this alpha sign behind me, but
Okay.
everybody knows I'm kind of like a Nikon shooter. I've been
Okay.
shooting Nikon for the longest. I still work with my main camera is a Nikon Z9, so it's a flagship camera. That's what I work with currently.
Okay. But have you tried out any Sony cameras?
Oh yeah. I've
Is
tried.
there? Do you have a darling amongst them?
I mean, if you're going to hand me any Sony camera, I'll probably do the A7R5 because
Why?
obviously, for me, megapixels is key.
Okay.
Because I work with portraits, I work with images that go on print
Okay.
for things like exhibitions and things like that. So I'm big on resolution. So I want resolution and good autofocus. I mean, that's pretty much any flagship camera I get now. You're getting that. Yeah. So that's why I'll go for that.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for doing this. Thank you for your time.
You're
and,
welcome.
Thank you for all the beautiful work that you put out. We hope to see more and more. Is there an exhibition or something in the works? Is there something
well,
in the
Yeah, there's something in the works.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So we had one. I had one funny enough earlier in the year.
Okay.
It was a joint exhibition though. We did one earlier in the year, but we're planning another one for next year.
Okay.
So next year is 10 years as a full-time photographer in Lagos.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
man.
you. So we're
Yeah.
going to be doing an exhibition to celebrate that
Okay.
with some of my work. So look out for that.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Job blessings.